Good morning, everybody. My name is Jody. My husband David John and I have a small farm in the panhandle of North Idaho. These are our stories and adventures. So welcome to Moose Flats Farm. And today we're back up at the seed shed. I'm gonna go through my tomato collection and get the tomatoes started. Okay, as long as Kiesel doesn't knock the camera over, we should be good to go. So there's 4 basic different types of tomatoes. You've got your cherry tomatoes, which are the little tiny ones. You have your paste tomatoes, which are for the most part used in cooking because they don't have as much pulp or as many seeds, so they're better for cooking. You have your medium-sized tomatoes, like your saladettes, which are like that size, and then you have your beefsteaks, your big tomatoes that are big like this. So I've gone through and kind of sorted everything out by size and have filled out my labels for approximately how many I want of each. So let's go through my collection. And yes, I know I keep looking over that way. It's because I have the window kicked out, and I know drives you guys crazy because it looks like I'm looking over your shoulder, but I need it so I can make sure the camera focuses. So first one we're going to start with is going to be the round of paste tomatoes. Which this is an Amish paste. And then we have the San Marzano paste tomato. And then the last paste tomato is just going to be a basic Roma. And I'm going to be planting quite a few of these because I really need to get my spaghetti sauces and Kiesel, careful, spaghetti sauces and those kind of things restocked up this year because I didn't get as many, or I didn't make as much last year, and have pretty much worked through what I have in stock. The next batch we're going to go through is going to be our cherry tomatoes. So I've got a cherry large, and these ones are about 1.25 inches, so they're borderline on being a cherry, a little closer to a saladette size. Got the baby boomer, which does about a 1 ounce size cherry tomato. David John's favorite. The yellow pear, and I like just sticking the yellow pear just in all different random spots in the garden because it's one of my favorite to snack on. And we're going to be planting the Sweet 100s. And I do have some other cherries that I'm not going to be planting, but I'm going to show you guys those. So we've got a black cherry, and this one is a really weird one. It's a red currant. So this one is like a champagne grape, and these things are little itty bitty, teeny tiny, and were kind of strange. Another one is the Berry's Crazy Cherry, which is another champagne style that we may come back around and plant some of this one. And the next batch is going to be our medium-sized ones. I do not have any new Early Girl seeds. These are seeds I saved from last year, and they're kind of the in-between being a saladette and the really big ones, so I just put them in with the saladette size. Going to be doing the 4th of July. The Abe Lincoln. The Garden Monster. And Boxcar Willie. So those are my medium-sized ones. And then the next batch is going to be the really big ones. So last year, one of the local farmers I went and got some corn and some other stuff from, and I was able to get a Kellogg's breakfast tomato from him. I'd never had them before. They're a yellowy tomato. It was absolutely delicious, and thank God before Dave, John, and I ate the whole thing, I was able to save about 10-15 seeds from it. So hopefully I get at least one or two of these seeds to go, so I can keep having seeds for this, because it's a nice meaty tomato. It wasn't super pulpy, so it would also be good for making tomato sandwiches or for cooking. And then we're going to be doing the Cherokee Purple. And this one is, I've got to think, I've got two that are my absolute favorites for the big ones. I like this one for the color, just because it adds some uniqueness to raw tomato dishes and everything. And this is the Black Creme. As you notice, it kind of has the purpley colored shoulders. My other favorite is the Hungarian Heart. It's also known as the Ox Heart. And this is the one that's going to get the absolute biggest, because I had one that was almost 2 pounds like 2 years ago. And then we're going to do some Granny Cantrells. Beefsteak tomato. And then two different types of brandy wine. We have the brandy wine pink fruited. And then this one just states plain brandy wine. So those are all the different types of tomatoes that we're going to be planting today. Probably will not fill the germination table completely up because that would be like 144 plants. What I'm going to plant will probably do about a third of the table, and I think that's going to be plenty for me to have all the tomatoes I need and still have plenty for sale. So let's get to getting these guys planted. Okay, so the first one we're just going to start with is the Amish paste. How many we're going to do? 2, 4, 6. 1, 2, 4, 6. And tomatoes are planted about 1/4 of an inch deep. So we'll go through, and this soil has been pre-moistened. Okay, that gets our holes to put these guys in. And I am only going to do 1 seed per hole as best as I can. And then just lightly cover them and pack the soil down. Get them labeled and on the table and just continue on. So went through and got 576 tomatoes started. Not sure what I'm going to plant in those 3 trays yet. But there's the tomatoes started. And I did misspeak earlier. Tomatoes aren't planted at 1/4 of an inch. It's an 1/8 of an inch. So just want to make that correction. Well guys, before we get too crazy getting all of these peppers transplanted, because I'm pretty much down to the sweet pepper level, I decided that I should probably transplant, instead of transplanting them into 4-inch pots and then having to up pot them into my pepper tower. I just figure let's just plant them straight into the pepper tower. I was going to reuse the soil that was in here, but it was super wet and the peppers from last year had basically were just root bound in there. So it did get dumped out where the potatoes are going to be, because I can just recycle it into that soil. And this pepper tower is one that I got off of Amazon, I think 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. The first year I put flowers and herbs in it and I couldn't keep it hydrated to save my life. And then I did a couple modifications and found a way that it now kind of works more like the green stock that it's a knockoff of. So I've got the black and gray one. And so what I did, because they do have this big drain hole right there in the middle, and it's the same size as this 1/2 inch electrical conduit, or no, this is plumbing conduit. Or no, this is 3/4 inch PVC, so plumbing conduit. And it fits perfectly right in there. And the reason I've added the pipe to it is because I do it so it's super tall. It just adds rigidity to it, so if we do get a windy day, it just doesn't blow over. And when I do take it outside, I have a rebar stake in the ground that I just slide the whole kit and caboodle over so it stays nice and rigid. And I'll show you how I do this as we're putting our levels together. And yes, this will be staying in the greenhouse probably for another 2 months, but definitely we'll get them well established in this forever pot. So I did have to, in there, this is like the bottom dish, have to drill a hole for the pipe to go through, but like I said, it fits nice and snug, and this will hold water. It's got these little clips that hold this to it. There we go. Whoa. So now the bottom is, so what we'll do is I got to get my pipe. Whoa. We'll take our pipe, stick it down in, and we'll fill this with soil, plant our first round of peppers, and so on. Okay, so first one, let's do a thing of banana peppers. So I'm gonna do just each layer its own pepper species. Come on. There we go. And then we'll fill this one and keep going. And how this waters, because it's got these drain holes, is as this one gets full of water, it drips down into the next one. And when I get to the point of watering this in, I'll show you how it works. Okay, now I'm gonna have to move down onto the floor because it's getting a little tall. So now we're at the point where we have to link these together, or when I do the last 2 tiers, it won't be I won't be able to get the pole through. So I take a couple bamboo stakes and run them down through the center of all of this. If I can do it in here. And I know this is going to wind up being taller than what the physical of it being right now, but once it gets transplant or moved outside, this whole pole system will just get pushed through to make ground contact with the bottom one. So like I said, the first issue was it wanting to fall over. And the second issue I was having is you'd fill this, you'd go to water, and all the water would just run off this first one and splash heavily down on everything else. And it was really, really hard to keep it hydrated because the bottom ones never seemed to get enough water and the top ones seemed to rot out. So I sacrificed one of them. I think if this had been a true green stock, they've got a special water that's got a diffuser in it. So I have sacrificed one. I do fill it with pine shavings and they work as a diffuser to slowly let the water drip down through everything. So let's get this guy on and I'll show you how this works in the watering process. And typically I would have had this on and then added the pine shavings, and I just realized that I might make a mess. Not too bad. So at the bottom of each one of these is basically like a hole for drainage. So it, as it goes down through here, not only is it watering directly down the center, but it drips out to fill the outer cups. This might have been easier with a watering can. Yeah, that's just gonna make a mess. So as you see there, it just drips down into the next one below it. Well, now that the tower is dripping all the way completely through, like I said, I'm going to leave it in here so we'll be able to watch it grow. If these guys start getting a little on the big side, I can always prune them, which will make them bushier and not as lanky, not as gangly. There we go. So this is where I'm going to end today's video. I hope you have a good day and a good week. And until our next adventure, bye for now.